I'm good. You know what's funny is this weekend I was somewhere where I was asked to sing "Hey Jude" with somebody else, and for the life of me, I couldn't remember the real words.
And they're like, "You're so self-involved. Really, you have to put your own name in it."
Yeah.
Sorry.
That was actually one of the first songs my husband learned to play on the piano. So
no.
every time he plays "Hey Jude," I hear your theme song because he's not singing along to it.
Don't you love it when you love something someone does the first time? Like, oh no, is that the only song you know? I only know "Leave It on a Jet Plane" on guitar because it's only 3 chords. I can't really play the guitar except G, C, E. That's it. Leave It on a Jet Plane. That's all I play. Yeah.
You know, that'll make you, like once a party, you'll be amazing.
Right? That's what happened the first time I did it. Yeah. People were like,
and then you just
God.
act all humble after.
Yeah.
Act all humble after. No, I don't want to play anything else.
Then there's just a pause, and then I just start again. Leave it. Okay. Rudeness, where do we, by the way, who is this guy, Dan McLaughlin? They really are, someone was like, this is why they like Trump, because they're just as he is. Because I know, I needed a moment. Champ died over the weekend, because my Fred is 13 and a half and has cancer, and his back legs are going, and, so but then all of us, right, that have lost a pet, obviously, it was just like, oh my God, I had to, like, just the statement. Did you see the clip of him, Biden going, "You want to go play golf? You want to go play golf?" And that was like the thing he did, is chase the golf ball out on the oh my God. Anyway, it was hilarious.
Or with him as a puppy. Yeah.
Yes.
And when they first got him.
You just think of their whole life, and he said, in our most joyful moments and our most grief-stricken days, he was there with us, sensitive to our every unspoken feeling and emotion. We love our sweet good boy, and we'll miss him always. Oh my God. And just, that's something that crosses partisan lines, Sean Hannity and I have bonded over losing a dog. I mean, there's just no line anymore. So this guy tweets, about like, it's the Biden family tragedy in miniature, meaning like, I guess the good one dies and the bad one, like it's about Hunter and Bo or something. It's just like, you just said your point is on Joe Biden. You can do that without on his son for kicks and giggles, you demented ghoul. But you're just like, really? About losing your okay.
I mean, it wasn't even a good line. It's like there are so many. If you want to make a joke about it, you can make it. Go ahead. That's fine. But it was just such a stretch. It was like, I really want to say something awful about Hunter Biden.
Yeah. So I'll use his beloved dead dog that just passed today to make a snarky point. It's okay.
And then he wrote a whole column. Not only did he not backtrack, he essentially wrote a column saying that that Joe was probably going to retire and that Bo was going to probably step up to fulfill the presidential dreams of the family. And I'm like, dude, just take the L.
Yeah.
You wrote something crappy. Take the L.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, speaking of people, you said, I've told you several times, he may be a person, but Brett Kavanaugh was not going to be the conservative D on the Supreme Court that the GQP thought he'd be. As I wrote last September, I don't see Roberts or really Kavanaugh voting to take health care away from tens of millions of people. Well, ain't that a kick in the pants? You did say it, didn't you?
Yeah, I believe I said it on this show.
Yeah.
And I said it on John Fugelsang's show too. I have been saying it everywhere. Here's the thing about Kavanaugh, that this is a stupid theory that is not borne out by anything, but the man has teenage daughters, and he's got to go look at them every day.
Right.
And if he's doing things that are going to destroy their lives, I just tend to think that puts him in a different camp. Yeah. I don't want to have one of his famous beers with him, but I do think that he's more on the Roberts, let's try to thread a needle here and not upset everyone side of things.
Yeah. Well, it was the whole him vowing revenge during his confirmation.
I know.
Made you feel
but it was.
He might be a D, right? Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm, again, not saying he's likable. And the other thing I said is I don't have hope for, for Roe v. Wade when that comes up.
Yeah.
But, Kavanaugh has been surprising in some ways.
Yeah. Alito, I've always said, has been the most consistently disgraceful member of the.
Oh no, Alito is.
Yeah.
Alito is terrible. Yeah.
And Gorsuch, of course, because he's in the stolen seat, right? I mean,
right,
of course, he's the most illegitimate. Yes.
Right. And Gorsuch, though, is much more reliably conservative. I mean, Gorsuch is often with Alito and Thomas. So they got what they wanted. And I do have to say, there's been a few people on the left and the right that are like, oh, see, Kavanaugh and Amy Berman.
Coney Island.
Yes, thank you. Everybody was saying, oh my God, they're going to bring about the conservative apocalypse, and see, you liberals were wrong about them. And it's like, all right, calm down. We only base things on their previous records and how they've ruled before.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
That doesn't mean we certainly weren't wrong about Alito, and we weren't wrong about Gorsuch, and we weren't wrong about Thomas.
Yeah. Ugh. Okay. I realized I made that sound when you mentioned several justices. I go. You retweeted Senator Roy Blunt says when Stacey Abrams endorsed Joe Manchin's voting rights proposal, it became the Stacey Abrams substitute, not the Joe Manchin substitute. And you said, just say it was great when just the white guy's proposal, but if a black woman supports it, it's automatically garbage. That's what you mean. Yes, I said Friday. It's just boogie boogity black. You got black on it. Yeah. It's no good now. I mean,
yep. Now critical race theory got a hold of it. Critical race theory just took it in its teeth and just shook it up.
I loved your piece on this because you are a professor, and it really is what Eric Bolder always says. This becomes like, what are Republicans mad about today that are distracting from the FBI closing in on their insurrectionist asses or whatever they're trying to distract from, the latest stories of, Trump's murderous incompetence on COVID, right?
Right.
But anyway, because it's only taught in law school. It's not being taught anywhere. It's not being taught anywhere. First of all, and second of all,
not in any public schools. Nobody's sitting there teaching the fourth graders about critical race theory.
And it's only the actual true, as you write, it's only the true history of our country. It's not okay. I mean, it's when people go, it makes us look bad. It makes white people. It's like it already happened. You can't
white people make white people look bad.
Right. But anyway, Ted Cruz said critical race theory is bigoted. It's a lie, and it's every bit as racist as the Klansmen in white sheets. And you said when a group of critical race theorists lynch people and burn down their houses, then we can talk. Thank you.
Yeah. And there was somebody else who tweeted like it's the worst thing that's happened in American history, and I'm like, Really? Maybe that's why you need some critical race theory, entering your home and eating all the food in your refrigerator and I don't know, having sex with your dog, whatever critical race theory is going to do to make you upset.
Yeah. Give me 14. So speaking of which, I really, you always have to say, what are they distracting from? Because it's always stuff like you say that is not happening anywhere. That's some theoretical bull. You're just like, what? How is this affecting anyone's life? Something that's already not being taught in any school. Okay.
Yeah.
But I think this, because I'm like, what is this FBI craziness, right? That the FBI now is behind the January 6th. So apparently this is, because Tucker Carlson obviously got a visit from the FBI, I'm guessing, based on what Matt Gaetz blurted out the last time he was on.
Maybe.
Fox News. He returned to his debunked conspiracy theory that it was actually the FBI, not Trump and his supporters, who were responsible for January 6th. Oh, he interviewed the always helpful Glenn Greenwald. The host wondered if maybe the FBI set up not just Trump supporters, but also Matt Gaetz.
We have that too.
See how that exonerates everybody? We have Tucker? Okay, let's go 17 first then. Okay. Yes, take a listen, Rude.
It does kind of make you wonder about Matt Gaetz, actually.
No, does it?
Remember Matt Gaetz? He was engaged in child sex trafficking. We know that Matt Gaetz kind of went after the national security state repeatedly, and then they told us that he was a child sex trafficker. Maybe he is, we don't know. But if he is, why isn't he even charged yet? Anyone wonder that? Are you allowed to leak personal information, derogatory information against a sitting member of Congress because you don't like his criticism of you and then not charge him?
I don't know.
What is going on here?
Maybe we should ask Adam Schiff or Eric Swalwell if something like that were to ever happen, if that would be bad. How do you feel like he's going to cover when Matt Gaetz gets indicted this week, Rude? Because I do have the same question. Why hasn't he been indicted? But not because he's innocent.
Again, it's like we say about the indictment of Trump. Like at this point, things are so precarious in this country, leaning towards the possibility of a lot of violence, that it's got to be a slam dunk. They're not going to charge. They're not going to charge him unless it's a slam dunk. And the way it's looking now, honestly, there was this great ABC story that came out last week, is that there's something weird going on in the political world of Central Florida.
Yeah.
That involves Gaetz. And
now a warning. Now a warning about Florida.
Yeah.
Now a warning.
Yeah. All right. So here's Gaetz. This was where? Because he's been kicked off Fox Newsmax.
This was Newsmax.
Yeah, I'm telling you, the FBI has got to be getting close to a lot of people, right? Because, okay, here we go.
And the FBI clearly doesn't have objections to selected releases of video and images from these days. But it begs the question, why is there not more transparency? What did the FBI know, and when did they know it? That's one legitimate question.
Right. The other is, for instance, why did you sex traffic young girls? Allegedly. Yeah, I mean, this is... okay. And the fact that he's still on the committee that gets to question the FBI when it should be the other way around is, I don't even know what to... Okay.
The question of whether or not the FBI animated some of the criminal conduct is one that is far more grave. You talked about the Detroit situation with Governor Whitmer. The very same FBI personnel that orchestrated that operation end up in Washington, D.C. at the headquarters. And so it's reasonable to ask whether or not the FBI is engaged in a playbook where first they infiltrate an organization and then they try to bring that organization to the point of criminal conduct as a mechanism to try to bring it down.
Oh, the FBI, Rude, orchestrated, as in stopped the plot against Governor Whitmer. So that is bad, the way law enforcement has always done, where they haven't informants. So someone got cold feet and then informed so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay, let me just play. First of all, what they're saying is utter BS, because there's no evidence at all of that. Nothing has come out other than, their vague suppositions. However, let's just be clear that, the FBI did infiltrate organizations and pretend to be members of them, going in the civil rights era, it was something that they did all the time. Right. And they tried to tilt organizations towards violence and suggested and push people towards it. So that is that COINTELPRO, that whole thing.
Right. And I'm sure it's completely coincidental that he happens to also be under FBI investigation, that he would be speculating.
Right. Exactly.
Yes.
It's just if you're the one that's under investigation and there is evidence out there that the public has seen, let alone the evidence the public hasn't seen, that you've been engaging in some pretty skeevy activities as a member of Congress, maybe you should shut the F up for a little while.
Perhaps.
Maybe you should use that right to remain silent.
But will he? No, he has more.
I've been called a conspiracy theorist just for asking these questions, but whether it was the Russia hoax that was nonsense or the origins of the coronavirus at the Wuhan lab, I've got a pretty good track record of being right when I make pronouncements. And what I could say is there was FBI infiltration of these groups. And what we've got to decide is whether or not that infiltration led to more acute criminal conduct than would have otherwise occurred.
Okay, so we don't know anything yet about lab leak or not, but it was not deliberate weaponization. We know that. So everything he pretty much just said is untrue. But let's leave that aside.
His track record.
No, not good,
not
actually.
Good.
Yeah, well,
this
I
is
mean,
what they
he's
do,
right.
though. The projection of accusing you of what they're doing or the gaslighting. He said he fears political weaponization of the FBI and the Justice Department, adding, it's an agency that has a whole swamp left in it, needs to be drained. So the whole thing that's going on right now, where it's Democrats that they spied on, and McGahn, who was an enemy of the president at the time. But see how they turn it around? Yeah. Okay. He's concerned about the political weaponization of the DOJ in the now a warning. Yeah.
I mean, again, I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to sit here and go, yay, FBI, yay, CIA, considering their histories.
Right.
But, I don't understand to push things towards almost getting members of Congress murdered seems like, a little different than usually what happens is there is a plot, and then the FBI comes in and says, aha, you plotted to do this. Right. And therefore, we're going to arrest you because you plotted this. That was the whole thing throughout them getting groups online to plot terrorist attacks.
You cannot say they made them do it. This has been a problem for a long time, as we've known. For how long ago did Ray testify? During Trump administration, 10 years ago, that violent white supremacist domestic terrorists are our number one problem in America. They didn't force anybody to do the insurrection on January 6th. They didn't force anybody to plot to kidnap Governor Whitmer, right? I mean, it's just, it's so insane. This whole
and also to be clear, those kinds of things went beyond just the FBI and Department of Homeland Security giving reports. Those were actually congressional investigations that came to those conclusions that violent white supremacy is the most dangerous thing in this country, far more dangerous than any kind of radical Muslims.
Yeah, and we should have gotten a head start on this 10 years ago and not apologize like Janet Reno had to, because Sean Hannity went nuts,
Yeah.
Anyway.